Hi guys, well, we're in the middle of winter, it's cold, it's wet, it's miserable. There's not enough sunlight for the free vitamin D for my liking. But let's not be miserable about it. Let's make a healthy, nutritious allium and cruciferous vegetable soup. Enjoy. And there's our ingredients, or rather ingredients. We've got 1.5 heads, or floret heads, of the cauliflower. We've got the calabrese, commonly referred to as broccoli, but it's not really. That's your stem broccoli, that's your calabrese. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 small heads of that. A couple of little bushels of the stem broccoli. We've got the onion, we've got the leek, we've got the garlic. Those are our alliums. These are the alliums, and these are the cruciferous brassicas. Onions, leeks, garlic, all in the allium family. These are all in the brassica family. Very, very good for you. We've got a couple of potatoes there. We've got some Stilton cheese. We're using chicken stock to make our soup stock. You can use vegetable stock, but I don't know how they produce vegetable stock, because vegetables don't have bones in them. And you traditionally you make stock using a bony meat. We've got some mixed herbs, we've got some black pepper. We've got a little bit of chili powder to taste. I'm only going to put a teaspoon in of these two, which is the turmeric and the chili powder. But this is good for the blood, good for the circulation. This stuff as well is good for anti-inflammatory. Reduces the inflammation in the body, as does the black pepper. That in combination with the turmeric works wonders. The mixed herbs, you're going to get your volatile oils out of those as well as the garlic. So yeah, it should be a very, very nutritious and healthy soup meal. But you can't make soup without using butter. If you're using anything but butter, you're doing it wrong. Don't use olive oil for certain. Butter is the way forward. I'm using a slightly salted butter there as well. We've got about 100 grams of that, which I'm going to be using as my base saute for the alliums that are going to be going in first, but you'll see that in a second or two. Nice sharp knife, garlic press, because we're going to crush the garlic. And away we go. Let's get cracking. Okay, so those were the 2 onions, and they've been mediumly coarse chopped. I've got the garlic there, which is going to be put through the press, the garlic press. There's about 100 grams of slightly salted butter there as well. But I'm going to get these all mashed up now through the press. I'm using quite a lot of garlic. It's a full bulb of garlic there. But garlic is very good for the blood, very good for the circulation. And it's got so many good anti-sort of cancer properties. The allium family is fantastic, as is the brassica family. But we're going to get all of that in there. We've got, what, 10, 12, something like that, cloves of garlic from that one bulb. We'll get that processed now, and then we'll chop the leeks up so they're ready. But the first things that are going to be going into the soup are these, along with the butter. Okay, so into our large pan. In goes the butter. I'll let that melt down before adding in the onions and the garlic. So that's 2 whole onions and a bulb of garlic is going to be going into that. Okay, now they're just sweating down and caramelizing before we add in the leek. So we give them a little bit of time just to brown off a little bit. And the caramelization is when the sugars from the alliums are released, and you get that sort of sweet, buttery taste. Lovely. Okay, so they've been sweating down now for about 5 minutes on quite a high heat. I'm going to be adding in the leeks right now. Do it one-handed, like a pro. So in there you go. And we'll let those wilt down a little bit as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it on that heat, put the top back on, put the lid back on, and let that steam down for about another 5 minutes while I prepare the potatoes and what have you. So I've just chopped those 2 potatoes up and put those in as well with the rest of it, with all the alliums. Okay, so we're going to do the stock now. 1.5 litre of stock I'm going to be making, but that's only a litre jug. So I'm going to fill it up with the boiling water, give it a spin round till it dissolves, pour it into the soup mix, and then just do another 0.5 litre in there and tip that up into the pan. Okay, the stock is in, 1.5 litre of stock. So we'll let that simmer down for a little bit before we add in our brassicas. Right, I'm going to need some more actual stock. So I'm going to get another 500 millilitres or 0.5 litre with one more stock cube in there, and just get it topped off so we can sink everything below the surface. It'll boil down. But I've got a little bit of broccoli left over, and the stem broccoli is going to be added in closer to the end, so it'll keep a bit more freshness. So that's going to be simmering away there now for about, I would say, 15 minutes. Once I add in another 0.5 litre of boiling water and chicken stock, I'll leave that then to simmer for about 15 minutes before adding in the final bits of broccoli chopped up. Okay. So that's been about 15 minutes now on the simmer. So it's time to add in the stem broccoli. Thusly. Now I've included the stems in that because there are different phytonutrients in the stems. And from a sort of antioxidant point of view, the stems are highly rich. In fact, they're more rich than the florets, I've been led to believe. So they're going in as well as the florets. But the stems, because they're quite tough and cellulose, I've chopped them down finely. And so they're going to get another 10 minutes of cooking time in there. I'll give it a bit of a good stir around. Once I've got 2 hands free, I'll give it a good stir around so that it all integrates and mixes up, and put the lid back on for another 10 minutes. Okay, so that's been simmering for about 15 minutes, and about 5 minutes into the simmer, I added 1/2 pint of whole milk into the mix to make it a sort of cream of broccoli and cauliflower and allium soup. Looks good. That's why it looks like weird sort of yellowy, creamy colour. Okay, so it's time to add in our spice and our herbs. So we've got the mixed herbs. I'm just going to drop a few in. About a teaspoon's worth. Turmeric, about the same. You can add turmeric and the chili peppers into taste really, but because we're all having it, the kids as well, I'm only going to be putting a little bit just to have a little bit of heat going through there, because we're going to be adding the ground pepper in as well to the mix before it all gets blended up into the final finished soup. But yeah, I'll give that a bit of a work through just to add a little bit of heat. The turmeric, I like turmeric, but it can be a little bit of an earthy taste, a bit of an acquired taste. And obviously the chili powder isn't to everybody, so you don't have to add it in. It's always good to put some mixed herbs in though. Yeah, it just adds those mixed herbs and a bit of pepper to taste. Don't add any salt in because it's a slightly salted butter anyway, and there's some salt in the cheese that we've added in. The Stilton cheese, that's a kind of a salty cheese anyway. So we'll just leave that for another 5 minutes just to integrate before we add the Stilton in there. Okay folks, okay. So a couple of minutes ago I added in the Stilton. It's a standard Stilton. It's not one of those stinky blue vein Stiltons. It's just a standard Stilton. Alright guys, now the heat's off now. I've turned all the flame off, and I'm going to let it cool down for about 20 minutes before I start to blend it. I'm using a hand blender because they're the cheapest and easiest to use. Most people will have a hand blender. If you've not, they're only about a £10 purchase for Mazda. Okay, so that's what we're going to be using. Letting it cool down for about 10 minutes now, and off we go. Okay, so going at a steady, slow pace, in a gentle up and down motion. Just work your way around the dish until you get to the right consistency. So I'm not using the sort of like super duper fast rotation. I'm taking my time with it, and it'll take you about 5 minutes to get all the lumps and bumps out this way, but it won't be frothy. It'll just be silky smooth and creamy, which is the way I like it. That looks about right to me, and I've just decanted some into that little bowl there. So let's see how it tastes. The proof of the pudding and the soup is in the eating. Oh, that's beautiful. I'll tell you what it's lacking, a bit of pepper. I didn't put the pepper in. I'm going to put some pepper in. So I've just added in a few twists of pepper and mix that in with it. Beautiful. Nice, rich, creamy, but fresh as well, you know, like a fresh taste to it. Like good soup should taste. Absolutely fantastic. Right, hope you enjoyed that, boys and girls. It's a lovely winter warming soup now. And it's packed full of goodness. There's nothing bad for you in there. Even the butter, there's not, when you weigh it up, there's about, I would say, 8 litres of soup there, and there's about 200 grams of butter and cheese in there. And you do need a bit of fat for your vitamin breakdown. Some vitamins are water soluble and some vitamins are fat soluble, so it all adds to the mix and helps your body ingest those essential nutrients and phytonutrients and minerals and vitamins and all of that. Right, take care of yourselves and each other. Happy New Year, boys and girls. And if I don't see you through the week, I'll see you through the window. This has been Guru Mafinda signing out. Alright, bye bye now. Have a good one. Hello, boys and girls. Wood ash is fantastic stuff. Great source of potassium and trace elements. So if you've got a wood burning stove, don't let the ash go to waste. Spread it about. Your soil will thank you for it. Okay. Just apply it on the surface. That'll wash down. The potassium from the wood ash will get into the soil. You can work it in if you like, but we just scatter it on the top. That's from Mick's wood burning stove next door.